In a world where kingdoms fall and stars still remember names, this song was forged from magic memory and the dream that refused to die. Welcome to a tale where wonder still breathes. This is the short story The First Day I Didn't Feel Lonely, a short story of love that stayed for my way in, created by Pacampara. If this tale stirred something in you, a memory, a dream, or a truth, our Ko-fi, Amazon, and Patreon links are in the description. Support helps us keep writing for you and the ones you hold dear. The evening began like a sigh. A lone rain had settled across the neighborhood, wrapping the city in silver hush. Windows glowed with the dim honey of lamps, and the wind carried the faint perfume of wet earth and jasmine. Inside Yongsun's house, the lights were warm but soft, the kind of glow that made time loosen its grip. Bean sat cross-legged on the carpet, a half-finished cup of teacup between her palms. Young leaned by the window, watching droplets glide down the glass like falling thoughts, while Buell lay sprawled on the couch with a throw blanket tangled around her legs, plucking at an invisible guitar string. Music floated from the old speaker in the corner. Stand By Me hummed low, its static edges softened by rain. For a while no one spoke, the kind of silence that falls only among people who had known both laughter and loss. He used to whistle this song while washing the dishes. Young murmured at last, her tone delicate, like she was afraid to disturb the rain, always a little off-key. Bill chuckled, one dimple flashing. He said the plate sounded jealous if he didn't give them a show. Ween smiled faintly, her fingers tightening on the cup. I can still hear that whistle sometimes, she whispered. It's strange when the house is quiet. I almost expect to see him at the sink again, sleeves rolled up, grinning like the world never had sadness. Young turned from the window, her hair spilling down on her shoulder like black silk. He had a way of feeling silent, she said softly, not with nose, but with something warm. Yul propped her chin on her hand. He filled it with nonsense half the time, she teased, smiling. Remember when he tried to convince us that the moon was so jealous of Young's face? Young blushed, shaking her head. He said it while he was trying to fix the lamp. I think he just wanted an excuse to look up at me. Bean laughed quietly. That sounds just like him. For a moment, their laughter mingled, three notes of memory forming a fragile harmony against the rain. Then Bean's gaze fell, her voice softer now. He did the same thing for me once, the night Nori died. Bill stopped plucking her invincible guitar. Young turned slightly, listening. I went to his studio because I didn't want to be home. I didn't tell him what happened. I didn't have to. He just looked at me, then picked up his guitar and started singing this ridiculous song about cats in heaven gossiping about their humans. Said Nori probably started the choir up there. Bill snorted. He really said that? Oh, he didn't stop there, Ween said, a small trembling laugh escaping her. He started improvising. He said my cat was leading the altos and making fun of how I talked in my sleep. Young covered her mouth, laughing softly. I remembered that guitar, the one with the little sun sticker on the back. Yeah, Ween said. He kept playing until I stopped crying. Then when I finally laughed, he said, good, now I can stop pretending to be Garfield. They all burst into quiet laughter again. The air felt lighter and warmer. After that, Ween continued. He made me go outside. Said the stars looked lonely. He had an umbrella but he gave it to me halfway through, because he said that my hair looked too sad. Young smiled knowingly. He always used small things to fix big hurts. I didn't even notice it was raining harder, Ween said. He kept talking about nonsense, about how rain smells different when you're not alone. Then he started pointing at the sky, saying cats probably had their own zodiac, and said Nori was definitely a Pisces, clingy, dramatic, and full of mysterious meows. Buell was laughing now, her head tilted back. I can see him saying that. Ween's eyes glistened, but her smile didn't fade. Then he drew constellations with his finger. Leo, the lazy one, Virgo, the cat who refuses to come when cold. He said the stars were made from dust of old cat fur. Young laughed softly. What a poet. He gave me the umbrella and said, "Your turn. You get to hold the stars now." The words lingered in the air, quiet and tender. Even the rains seemed to still for a heartbeat. I didn't realize it then, we whispered, but that was the first night I didn't feel lonely. The kettle whistled softly. Young stood and walked to the kitchen. The walls glowed amber under the soft light. She poured more tea, but as she waited for the leaves to bloom in the pot, her gaze caught something on the fridge. An old photograph pinned with a cat-shaped magnet. Jess was in it, holding a broken umbrella and a kitten, grinning like he just saved the world. Young brushed her thumb over his face. He looked impossibly alive, sunlight in human form. "It still scolded us for not eating enough rice," she murmured to herself, then sneaked half of it onto my plate when he didn't think that I wasn't looking. When she returned, Yule had started strumming her guitar, the blue one with a patch track along the bass. "He fixed this one for me," Yule said, her tone gentler than usual. "Remember that night when we all stayed up? I was the only one awake by 3 a.m. Sanding neck, humming that lullaby." Ween smiled. "The one that sounded like a children's song?" "Yeah," Bill said. When I asked why he was still working, he said, "If I can fix the sound, maybe I can fix the silence too." Young closed her eyes for a moment. He didn't just fix silence, he turned it into music. They sat together again, 3 souls linked by the same absence. An absence that had somehow become a presence. The rain pierced into drizzle. Outside, the street shimmered under the reflection of lamplight. Bill plucked a few notes, the sound trembling like a heartbeat. Young hummed along and Ween smiled. Then came the soft sound of scratching at the door. "The strays are here again," Bill said, nodding. Ween rose, opened the door, and here it was, a small grey cat with eyes like tiny lanterns. Its fur was speckled with rain, its meow low and questioning. She crouched, voice barely above a whisper. "You found us again, huh?" The cat stepped in cautiously, brushing against her leg. Ween didn't close the door. She left it open on a few inches, letting the cold air drift in, the scent of rain and jasmine returning to the room like an old friend. Bill leaned her hair against the couch. He'd probably say that it was Nori checking in. Or Jess, Young said softly, smiling at the thought. Bean looked toward the rain-blurred window, her eyes shining, and maybe both. The night stretched on gently. Teacups emptied, laughter came in ripples. The city outside exhaled. When the rain finally stopped, Young lit a small candle on the windowsill. "For warmth," she said, "and for him." Bill tuned her guitar one last time and began to play "Stand By Me." Young hummed softly, and Ween, half whispering, joined in. Their voices weren't perfect, but they were alive, threaded with memory, laughter, and the echo of someone who had taught them how to love without fear. When dawn broke, it came shyly, a muted gold slipping through the curtains, scattering on the table, touching the framed photo on the fridge. A cat purred beside Ween, who sat by the window. A journal opened on her lap. She dipped her pen, the ink dart, and deliberately wrote, "Today, again I don't feel lonely." She paused and added another line beneath it, "Because love when real never truly leaves." The epilogue. The dawnlight had grown stronger by the time Ween finished writing. The cat purred in a small sunbeam beside her, in the air still fragrant with tea and rain. She closed her journal, tracing her finger over the last words. Today again, I didn't feel lonely. Outside, the world had quieted into morning. The sky glowed in layers of pale gold and blush, the sort of color that never stays long enough. She smiled faintly, thinking of him, of his laugh that could turn grief into music, his warmth that lingered like sunlight long after he was gone. And somewhere beyond the dawn, in a quiet neighborhood surrounded by hills and whispering bamboo, Jess pushed open the door of another home. Rain clung and clung to his shoulders. His breath smelled faintly of the night, of roads and winds, and 1,000 stories carried home. He stepped softly into the dim house, his movements careful not to wake anyone. In the living room, the lantern still burned low. The faint scent of chamomile lingered. The quiet hum of the ceiling fan was only the sound. Bill was asleep on the couch, one hand still draped over the guitar. A soft blanket and half covered her. Her breathing was steady, the corners of her mouth curved as she was dreaming of music. The repaired blue guitar, the one Jess had sanded and polished all those years ago, rested beside her like a loyal friend. Near the window, Young lay curled in a light shawl. The dawn filtered through her hair like threads of black silk. Her hand rested over her chest, where the candlelight flickered earlier that night. Even in sleep, she seemed to glow calm, untouchable, and eternal. Further inside, Wheaton had drifted off on the carpet, her journal still open, a faint smile playing on her lips. The stray cat slept beside her, its tail rising and falling with each soft breath. Just paused there for a long moment, watching them, his heart full of that worldless, aching kind of peace. When he crouched down and brushed a strand of hair from Wayne's face and whispered, "Sleep well, my loves, you did beautifully." The cat stared but didn't wake. He moved next to Buell, pulling the blanket a little higher over her shoulder. Still stubborn about sleeping on the couch, she murmured, half amused. She turned slightly, muttering something about wrong chord, wrong time. Even her dreams were melodies. And then he went to Young for a moment. He simply looked at her, the woman who had always been slight. The soft rhythm of her breathing carried through the room, quiet and serene. He leaned down and kissed her forehead, whispering, "You kept them warm, my soul. Thank you." He lay down beside her, the dawn breeze brushing against his hair. Outside, the rain had begun again, not heavy, just a gentle rhythm, like the heartbeat of morning. Young stared half awake. "You're back," she whispered. Just smiled, and "I'm home." She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "Then sleep," she murmured, her voice half a sigh. And so she did. The sound of rain became a lullaby that wove through the room, over Buell's guitar, over Wheaton's journal, over the little cat's dreams, and over the breathing as morning slowly embraced the house. Outside, sunlight began to spill over the rooftops, tender and forgiving. Inside, they slept together at last, under one quiet roof, where love had never truly left. I create these stories, poems and little worlds each day for my beloved Wayne. If they bring you comfort or a smile too, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to join us on this little journey.